Now, really, what we're going to talk about today, a few things. 7-touch follow-up system that turns maybe later into where do I sign? All right. Now, why this? It's a signal I've been getting from people I work with that use Distribute, which is my company, right? A lot of people have come to me and said, hey, I have a problem with closing after the first call. I do all this work to get all the conversations. And then what I realize is that, I can't get the next conversation. And when I follow up, I just say, hey, just checking in. How many people here send the just checking in email? All right, say yes in the chat if you've ever sent the yes, just checking in email. Go ahead and put that in the chat if you've ever said yes, yes. We all have, and if you haven't, yes, yep, exactly. Hate it so much. Yeah, okay. So I have a lot of text here, but after today, we are never going to send the just checking in email again, okay? That is my goal for y'all today. Never. Yeah, Donna, I don't know if Donna's being sarcastic, but I'm sure she is. Yes, yep, got it. Okay. Don't do it. Okay. Our goal today is to remove that just checking in email because does it work? Maybe sometimes, but 99% of the time, no. Donna, seriously never. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and go through this today, y'all. So what we're going to do is a few different things. We're going to go through great pieces of content here. Here's what you're going to get in the next 30 minutes. So we're going to give you a few things. 7 fill in the blank templates to use that are not just checking in. And again, use templates with caution. I'm not the hugest fan of relying on templates, but we're going to give you templates to help kick the tires. How can you add value after your first conversations in the follow-up? How can you do that? That is our goal. That's what we're going to do today, right? The 38,400 a month formula, right? So this is a formula that we've been using with Distribute users. The psychology playbook, so why each touch works, okay? And I'm going to turn the music off here so we're not getting too distracted because I know that's distracting for some. A tech stack you can use, things you can use to make it a lot easier. You don't have to use that. I do a lot of it manually, to be quite honest with you, but I know that's going to be a question that comes from everyone here. And then real money, some screenshots that we have. All right. Now, if you stay till the end, I'm going to give you even more things that you can use. So that deal resurrection toolkit. So that's going to give you 7 email templates, a profit calculator template, an executive brief framework, 6 video script templates, because believe it or not, we're going to do some video. All right. We're going to throw some video in here, some video scripts that you can use to make it engaging, make it fun, all of that fun stuff. Now, before we jump in, is there any questions that y'all want me to make sure we cover on this follow-up session here? Any questions that you want me to cover? Maybe I know the answer, maybe I don't. I don't know everything, right? I'm just going to share what's worked for me, what's worked for a bunch of sales teams that I've worked with, all that fun stuff. But put in the chat if there's any follow-up questions that you want me to cover before we go all the way into this. All right. So go ahead and do that and I'll take a look at that. All right. But another thing here, fair warning, right? We're not going to give you some BS like relationship building, blah, 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 blah. This is going to be stuff that works. Okay. Just so, I don't know if you don't know who I am and you're maybe on my newsletter. I'm Andy Mewborn. I was early at Outreach.io, helped build Outreach.io from 0 to a gazillion, whatever the number was. That built Taplio, sold that to Lemlist over in Europe, and now we're building Distribute, which is used by over 15,000 people daily, right? A lot of this stuff is coming from being in the weeds, actually doing the work myself with my team, with hundreds, maybe even thousands of teams today. So that's who I am, if you don't know that there. All right, so we're going to get through this here. Uncomfortable truth, y'all. A lot of people, what they don't do is they don't follow up. They maybe follow up once, right? They follow up once or they do the just checking in. Remember, we're not going to do that. Okay. We're not going to do the just checking in. All right. So what we're going to do, we looked at some data within our system because we can track when people make Distribute follow-up pages. And what we see is that people will follow up with Distribute pages or follow-up items, 8.4 follow-ups on average, right? Pretty crazy. Like when they're working a deal. Okay. So there you go. If we think just checking in one time is going to do the trick, yeah, we're going to prove that wrong today. We're going to give you basically a formula here to help you do that. Okay. Couple things here. Here's my promise, y'all. My goal for you, 1, remember, eliminate the just checking in email. And then also, if you're doing a sales motion of any kind, add 5 figures to your pipeline in the next 30 days. Right? Because we're not just going to do this with current conversations. We're going to go to close lost deals, people we've had conversations with before, maybe customers that have churned, right? All of that fun stuff we're going to look at today. Put in the chat for me, y'all here. Everyone that's listening, put in the chat, like, what's your role? Are you a consultant, a business owner, account executive, a freelancer? Put that in the chat for me, y'all. Go ahead and open the chat. AE, perfect. What's up, Paige? Owner, consultant, yes, mentor, BDR, marketing and sales enablement. Love it. Solopreneur, sales lead. Oh, magician. Yes. Yeah. We're all right. We're gonna have put your camera on, Allison, to show some tricks in. Cool. Owner, partnerships consultant, cool. Sales, solopreneur, great. Founder plus sales lead, chief. Yeah, me too. Chief trash taker outer. You made me think, do I have to take out the trash today? Mike, no, that's Wednesday. So we're good. I have a couple days. Good stuff, y'all. Okay, this is good to know. So while we go through this, y'all, I try and make this for anyone doing a sales type motion. Who has to follow up? Anyone doing a sales motion, right? So couple things here. You can take notes if you want. I'm also going to send out this distribute page here so that you guys can use this, reference it whenever you want. I'm going to put everything in here, all the sauce, so you can just take it, reference it, bookmark it for later so that you have it, right? I ran a poll actually, I think last month it was, right? And about 500 people responded to that poll on LinkedIn. And I asked them, what's the number thing holding your team back from hitting quota? And 427 of the people said follow up. Follow up is so important, y'all. Now, is that going to be like the number one thing? No, you need to have a great offer, a great product, all that fun stuff. But it's all about getting attention today, right? How do you capture attention? What material do you use to sell? Okay. That is what we're going to help you do. Really, what content should you be creating to keep people engaged, get the next meeting, right? Get the next steps, all that fun stuff. Okay. So that's what we're going to work on. That's the problem we're helping try to solve with Distribute. Make it easy, make it fast, make it fun, make it useful, right? So no more just checking in email, put that in the trash bucket in your brain. We're getting rid of that stuff, okay? Oh yeah, and I put the story in here for y'all, right? I was working with a consultant slash business owner, and was the catalyst for this, was like, hey, why'd you lose this deal? And they were chatting with me, and I was like, how many times did you follow up with this person? What'd you follow up with? And got into the weeds. Right? They lost to a competitor, good sized deal. And they followed up once. And guess what the email was? Just checking in. Okay. So yes, we don't want to do that. Right. Couple things here. Brutal reality, right? Average seller, and this is some stats that I got using AI here. They follow up 1.3 times. Okay. That's crazy. That's nothing. All right. 58% don't follow up at all. Why do I think this is happening, y'all? Because I think we're lost in what should we follow up with? What should we create, right? I think that's where people get stuck. But actually, let me verify with y'all. Put it in the chat, like, what prevents y'all from following up, if anything? Or maybe you're the best at following up, like Donna, right? But what prevents you from following up? Put in the chat. What do you think it is? Chasing the yes. Okay, I don't like you don't like sounding like a broken record. Yeah. Anyone else? Anyone? I don't want them thinking I'm annoying. Yep. Yep. No system. Cool. Laziness, hunting over new contacts, insight. Yep. Yep. Whim. Good stuff. All great stuff. Yeah. Depressing. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Don't want to, by being annoying. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone else here? Anyone else? All right. Good stuff, y'all. Losing the people, too many lists and spreadsheets. Yeah. Keeping up with everything. The thing that I like to tell people is, to think about is, think of how much work it is to get a new client, especially today. You get them on the phone for that initial conversation. That's like the hardest step ever, y'all. Right? And so if you do that, why are you going to forget about the person that you've got a conversation with and look for the shiny object and maybe someone new when you have someone that's already agreed to that first conversation? Right? Now, maybe they aren't a fit. That's okay. That happens. They're disqualified, all that fun stuff. Right? But what we want to make sure of is that we've already done the hardest part, which is getting that initial meeting. Why not double down on that if they are a good fit? And that's a mindset that I tell people to do with follow-ups, right? Here's why people ghost you. Okay. Your follow-up sucks. Hey, just checking in. Hey, did you get my proposal? I like to say, really? Right? You're invisible. There's this great chart I actually saw recently, which is like the recency. If you don't follow up within 24 hours of something good, they like forget who you are. And I'll find that there. Yeah, talking with you is so freaking hard. Lead generation is probably one of the biggest industries. You could all probably get cold emails on lead gen, right? It is so hard. So what we want to do is not only follow up with people we just talked to, but the biggest unlock that people forget is people that weren't a fit maybe 2 months ago, 3 months ago, a year ago. Those people that the timing wasn't right. Those are also people to follow up with. And I'll give you an example. For us at Distribute, our closed won opportunities, about 73% of those were previously closed lost opportunities. Okay? What does that mean? That means that 73% of the time, the first time we engage and start talking, they're probably not ready to buy. So we can't forget about them. We want to follow up. And that is going to be the biggest unlock for you. And that's not just my current business, like every business that I've worked at, built, all that fun stuff. That is something that is huge closed lost opportunities, right? And that's something that people forget about. And I understand why, because we get new leads, we're focused on LinkedIn content, we're focused on all that, right? And number 4 here, the biggest thing, you're no value, right? And then we saw some in the chat here that was like, hey, you don't want to feel like a pest. You don't want to feel annoying. You don't want to feel like you're burning the relationship. You don't want to feel like a weirdo, like always following up and feel desperate. And that's where we come in here with what I call the $1 million follow-up formula. And yeah, we'll say, yeah, we'll do that. It's a little less right now, but I would say this is over time. So let's look at this. Touch number 1, the instant replay. So I will tell you, this is what we do exactly today in our follow-up stuff. And this is the exact formula that we use. Okay. And so we're going to give you these again. You can screenshot this, or you can I'm going to send this afterwards so you can actually take a look, do all that fun stuff. Right. But here's what we're going to do with our follow-ups, right? And I'm going to give you this exact formula to use that hopefully doesn't feel as, let's call it desperate. Hey, just checking in, all that fun stuff. Right. So here's exactly what we do. All right. First thing, we do a video actually. That's pretty awesome. Right. So what we'll do, your 3 biggest opportunities from our call. Right now, if you notice, what we're not doing here is we are not just saying, hey, here's a summary of what we talked about. Right. We recorded this 90-second video after our call breaking down how you're leaving money on the table, the quick win we identified, why competitors eating your lunch, and the simple fix. Now, is this going to be the same for your exact deals? No, but the overall concept is going to be attached. So this is essentially what we'll want to follow up, right? We'll follow up with a video. And when you send a video, you can measure if they actually watch the video too. And this is a big unlock, is when you're sending videos, you can use Distribute, you can use whatever tool you're using, Loom. The great part is you can see when they view it. Now, when they view it, what is that? That's a litmus test, right? I call it the litmus test. Are they actually engaged? Do they actually care when you follow up? Are they actually going to maybe forward that on to someone, right, within your deal cycle? Okay. All right. Touch 2. Let's go into touch 2 here because we're 18 minutes in and holy crap, this is going faster than I thought. Touch number 2, the case study bump, right? Now, you may say, Andy, I don't have a case study. Okay. Here's what I'm going to tell you that I didn't put in the notes here. But the biggest thing today that you want to do, if you're running a new service, if you're an AE, case studies and proof, y'all. Okay. Because the first thing that executives think is, who have they done this for before? And can they actually make it happen? Whether it's an executive or a buyer that's a business owner, right? Can they actually deliver? That's the question in everyone's mind, because everyone can make these crazy claims today, right? They can say, hey, we've done this, we've done that, but case studies are huge. Now, how do you get case studies? Go look at your juiciest customers today. Ask them if you can do a case study, right? Don't overthink it. And you don't have to spend 2 weeks doing it. You can sit down on a 30-minute interview with them and say, hey, can I get 15, 30 minutes of your time? I'll buy you lunch. And with that, what you'll be able to do is use that video testimonial and then take that video that you have with the client and turn it into a 1-pager. Okay. Literally simple as that. Huge. Now, if you don't have any clients yet, maybe you're getting started with a new business, give someone a discount, ask for a case study. Okay. Or I don't want to say do free work, whatever. That's a whole nother topic, but See how you can get these case studies to help you sell. I would say it's one of the number one things that we follow up with that like really helps our case. Especially, let's say, distribute, we sell to a lot of e-com tech companies and security companies, right? Now, what do you think I have case studies on from? E-com tech companies and security companies. While you do that, you're also creating FOMO, right? When you follow up and say, oh, hey, here's a case study from company XYZ and how we help them do ABC, right? They're going to say, okay, proof, someone in my niche, FOMO, Bill's the guy to work with, Steven's the guy to work with, Fiona's the gal to work with, Beata, oh, wow, she's great. And what her company's doing is amazing. They already work with 50 other companies in Germany in this niche. Okay. So case study, case study, case study, huge. Marketing is big on these. Yes. And there's a reason why. They are the number one thing I would say that if you have a marketing team, that they should be working on, in my opinion, to help the reps sell. All right. Another thing that we do, the profit calculator drop. Oh, we got a question in here. Cool. Steve. All right. And y'all, if you have questions as we talk, bring them up. We'll ask the questions. All right. Cool. So Steve said, would a map alleviate some of the follow-up misfires because both sides are on the same page and expectations? If they do not want to help them out, then they're not ready, or you're not talking to the correct champion. Yes, Steve, I would say this is a little bit maybe later down the funnel, right? Maybe not after like your first follow-up conversation, but definitely maybe we'll do another live session on maps and where to put them, Steve. Very useful. Always do them, but I would say it's a little later down from my experience. A map is a mutual action plan, Dan. It's essentially like an implementation guide of how you're going to get a deal done, right? We need to talk to sales. We need to talk to marketing. We need to talk to your IT on how we're going to integrate. Basically a plan, steps 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc., on how essentially we can get this set up for you and you up and running. That's a map. Okay. Mutual action plan is what it's called. You can create those and distribute too. Yes. So amazing. Cool. All right. Good stuff, y'all. So next touch that we do, and again, this one takes a little bit of vibe coding. I don't know. Has anyone here tried vibe coding yet? Your own little tools or anything? Drop in the chat if you have. Maybe we'll do a session on that at some point too, on vibe coding. I have someone come in and do that. But what we do is an interactive calculator tool, right? Now, what sells emotion, not necessarily logic all the time, but this here is something that people love, right? I will tell you, just sending this out, we'll send basically an interactive calculator, put it in distribute when we send this out, and it basically gives them the numbers early, right? What a lot of people make the mistake of is they wait until, the last mile to say, oh, hey, let's show you the ROI. This is when the CFO is when someone's trying to get approval, or the business owners, I don't know if this is worth it. And you wait until the last mile. Little trick here, get this out way faster. That way it is just available as early as possible so that it helps with the conversation early on versus you scrambling at the end of you trying to do a deal and make something happen. Okay. Biggest mistake I see a lot of people make all of the time. Cool. Awesome. Are you sending them on a new tab or in the same distribute room I'm doing all of it in one distribute room here. And I'm just adding a new tab, like for my follow-up stuff as we go, depending on what we're sending. But yeah, I'm doing them all in the same room because it's branded. This one's not branded because obviously we're not selling to one company here. But yeah, I'll just do it on these new tabs on the page. Okay. Next thing, Andy, could you have one call on how to organize your distribute? So I do the follow-ups a separate document. So just one page in distribute beta and add the different tabs on there. You could do that, right? What's great about distribute here, and I don't want this to be a whole distribute pitch. This is just what we use, but you can click here. You can actually have all the tabs built and just hide them for when they're not ready to be seen. Right? So you can actually hide this tab. When you send it out, the prospects won't see it. So then when you're ready to send that next email and a follow-up, make it visible. Little trick there, right? Super easy. So that's very in the weeds of distribute, but you get the idea. So very cool thing you can do. Jose, hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. For this calculator, do you recommend to put it for them to check if they're using it? I just embed it on a page, Jose, and then give quick numbers in the email. That's essentially what I do. for that. So that's the way I do it. I'll see if I can find one and send it in the follow-up to this actual meeting and show you an exact one. I don't want to share any company info, obviously, but yeah, we'll definitely do that. Very simple though. Don't overthink it too much in order to do that. Okay. Next thing here, LinkedIn. I'll send a LinkedIn message and a value bomb in the LinkedIn message. And people may go, oh, what? LinkedIn? You're not. Yes, y'all. Omni-channel, right? That's the buzzword. Omni-channel. So you're not just hitting them on LinkedIn, or I'm sorry, an email on LinkedIn. Why do I do this? Because sometimes everyone gets a million emails these days. Seeing a face in a profile, send them a DM, a lot easier. It's a different medium to connect with people. Some people prefer like the chat experience. Everyone's a little bit different. And for example, when I'm working with someone, if they follow up on LinkedIn, I'm more likely to like just chat back because it's just quick and easy and I don't have to think about it too much. So this is what I'll drop. I'll do an omni-channel follow-up approach as well. LinkedIn message, value bomb. Okay. So that's something you can do there. I have that. I won't go through the whole template here just for time purposes. But then lastly, video testimonial compilation. So here, next thing, what are we using, guys? Testimonials, which is just basically another way. It's like a short case study, right? It's a testimonial, part of a bigger case study. So here's something that you could do is a compilation video. These are actually super money to use, which is if you have a bunch of videos of your clients saying, you know, what great results you have, you can have a compilation of all that you sent to them. That is a great way to follow up as well. If you don't have video testimonials, again, we talked about earlier case study. You can have a 15-minute conversation with a juicy client of yours. You can also sit down for 5 minutes with some clients, ask them, buy them lunch. Hey, can I get a quick video of like how we've helped you? All that fun stuff, right? You can see where we're going here. We use the hell out of social proof all of the time because the first thing people want to know is this real? Can they do what they say they're going to do? Simple as that. Caleb, you asked InMail. I'll do InMail if we're not connected, or I'll do a personal. I'll actually do a personal invite in LinkedIn and just say, hey, Jar, great chatting with you. Here's a quick video that I made based on our conversation. Right? Another great one there. And that's what I tell my team to do as well. Okay. So again, all this stuff, y'all, is basically how I enable my sales team, right? This is sales enablement here that we do. Okay. Literally exact same things. So I'm just giving it to all y'all here. Next thing, executive brief, right? Again, you can add this to the distribute room. You can do a Google Doc, although distribute's obviously better, but one pager and distribute in an email, right? So here, executive brief. Now, the goal with this that I like is to create something that makes them want to forward it internally. Okay. Has anyone here heard of the saying like most of the sale happens when you're not in the room? Say yes. Say yes in the chat if you have. Most of the sale happens when you're not in the room. Yes. Okay. That is becoming more prominent than ever today, y'all. Like it used to be yes, it used to happen, but now it happens even more. It's even more prominent because everyone's getting bombarded with so many things. So a great way in is to get someone, create a resource that they can forward along or create a resource for them so they know how to talk about your solution versus just relying on vibes. Because you've all experienced this. You talk to a buyer, they have to get approval from 3 other people. And then when they go and talk about your solution, they butcher it. And of course, right? Like they don't talk about your solution every day, right? So the CFO or their boss goes, not that interesting. And they butcher it. So here, how do you create something in not only this executive brief, but basically everything you're creating? How can you forward, whether it's a case study and everything? We're optimizing for everything you're creating here to be forwarded. That is the goal. All right. What we'll do, executive brief, executive brief, executive brief. Okay. Next thing we'll do is touch 7. And again, we said we'd do 7 touches. That's typically what we do and again, over 16 days. So just to give you guys an idea there, right? The permission to proceed. I follow up with, here's what I've sent you. And then it's like more of a breakup email, right? To follow up. Now you don't need to use this exact template, but it gets the idea across. If you followed up with them 7 times and you haven't heard back, that typically for us is, okay, timing's wrong. This is probably something we need to follow up with in 3 months. This probably deal is not happening. Okay. Or there's not going to be momentum on this deal. Right. So again, big thing here. What I want you guys to realize about our approach here is that every email is providing some sort of value to help them make a decision and something valuable that they can forward internally. All right. Big. So are we going to do just checking in emails anymore? No, we're done with that. All right. No more just checking in emails. This is a short and sweet approach here. We are at the 30-minute mark. I know I said it was going to be 30 minutes, but we can continue here and I'll send the recording. If some people have to drop, that's okay. So here's why some of this works, right? The neuroscience, right? Recency bias, right? Social proof, tangible value, reciprocity, bandwagon. I like to call, actually, FOMO effect is a better name here. FOMO effect, right? Oh, all these other people are doing it, right? Authority building, reverse psychology. Okay. This is the approach we take, right? So we'll say distribute page here. And this is essentially the multi-channel orchestration that we do, right? So day 0, day 2, this is all 7 follow-ups, right? Most of the email, we'll throw LinkedIn in there. For some gurus, they like to throw a phone in too, give them a call. Hey, how's everything going? You may not have their phone number. That's okay. If you do, you can always call them as well. All right. So just the approach that we take there. And let's talk about the tech stack to do this on autopilot. You can create a sequence. I personally just do this manually. There's some gurus on my team that set up a sequence for it. I'm like old school when it comes to the email follow-up stuff, but you can use a sequencer and build that sequence out that I just gave you guys, right? And just say, hey, after our first call, throw them into the sequence. Okay. And then when they respond, takes them out of the sequence. Do people here use sequences already? What do you use? Put in the chat if you use like a sequencer already. Do you put Apollo? Okay, people use Apollo. Yes. Okay, people are already outreach. Let's go, Caleb. Yes. HubSpot, perfect. Yes, Apollo, not aware. That's okay, Fiona. Video messages, distribute pages. Okay, cool. But Apollo, not okay. So you can set up a sequence in there, right? And just plop them in right after. Call it your follow-up sequence. Huge. And you can just have that built out, or manual steps, right? If you want to customize it in some certain way. But biggest unlock, y'all, is after you get that first conversation, definitely make sure we get this rolling. Personally, I like to do it manually and just have like my system there, but up to you to do that. We won't go too much into that today. You guys know the system. You get in the weeds and all that fun stuff, right? And I like to give you this like response handling matrix too. These are going to be common things you get, right? Too expensive, need to think, bad timing, happy with current, send me info, right? All this fun stuff that you can actually create here. Once you get that response to that follow-up, right? Things that we do there in order to basically help make that happen. And, oh, okay. So objection destroyers, because I knew some of you in here were going to say, hey, I don't want to feel annoying, right? And that's okay. We all have that little feeling and that gut thing inside. What do a lot of people say? I don't want to seem desperate. All right. So what's the strategic here? Social proof, adding value every touch. Now I sound like a squeaky wheel, but you guys get the idea, right? What if they get annoyed? The reality is, y'all, most sales leaders that I talk to, that I sell to, is that wants to make their team better at follow-up. When they get followed up with, if they only hear from someone one time, actually a lot of the best sales leader I know, there's actually a what they'll say is, it doesn't feel like they want to earn my business. Quite frankly, a lot of people feel like that sometimes, right? They go, oh, this person, their follow-up sucked, or they only followed up with me once, right? I don't want to earn, like, they don't want to earn my business. That's actually the reality a lot of the time, right? But that's why if you follow up with value, it's not you being desperate. It's you saying, hey, here's me helping you make that decision. Okay. And so that's the way to think about it, is earning that business. Now, let's compare 2 reps. Let's say they're looking at Neil and then they're looking at Jeff Presley here on the line, right? And they sell the same service and they're in buying mode, right? And they're going to make a decision on one or the two. Who do you think they're going to follow up with more? The guy that followed up one time, or the gal that followed up 7 times with value each time that made it seem like she wanted the business? We can all probably answer that question. And so that's the thing that we want to think about there. All right. That is the kind of the mindset to have. All right. As we go through this, a couple things here. I have an implementation sprint thing for y'all. Implementation sprint day 1, write all your 7 templates, right? Get your templates. Don't think too hard about it. Put it in a freaking Apple Notepad or your Google Doc, right? If you want to do it, put it in Distribute, wherever you want to put it. Here's where you can actually build that out, right? So I gave you a playbook, how much time it might take you. It's probably going to take a couple hours here, but once you get it and set up, you're ready to go. All right. Craig, this is for setup. So 7-point implementation sprint to set it up will take you a few hours. It's over 16 days actually. So you do it over 2 weeks, right? It's like that saying, why over 2 weeks? You want to strike while the iron's hot. Keep the momentum going, keep it going, right? Get them to create that material that gets them to forward and internally, see if they can get momentum from someone else. What a lot of people will do, which hurts close rates immensely, and I'll tell you this, is they'll say, hey, they'll have a call, they'll get off the call, they'll set up the next call on next steps, and the next call will be in 2 weeks. 2 weeks is a lot of time, y'all. What happens in the next 2 weeks? That person completely forgets about everything you talked about in the last conversation. I can barely remember what I had for breakfast, right? I don't know about you. Can anyone else barely remember what they had for breakfast, right? So the thing is, you want to keep them engaged, keep the value going until that next meeting too, right? So even if you have that next meeting set, you're giving them material. So when you get on that next call, what happens? They've already seen your case studies, they've already set in their mind like, oh, this is the real deal. They know what they're doing, right? Like they have an idea of how to like get this outcome. Okay, I've seen the testimonials, I've seen the exact summary. They gave me great material I can forward along. Now you're just now what they're doing is wanting to review, okay, what's implementation look like. So you're getting to that next step there. All right, cool, y'all. So few other things here. Let's see, there's some fun stuff here. Bottom line, y'all, I don't want to go too much over here. We try to keep this to 30 minutes, but don't think you're being salesy or pushy. You're helping them make a decision. You're adding that value, as cheesy as it sounds, right? And what I call it is like the value-based system, okay? It is creating that content that helps move the deal forward versus just doing a simple follow-up, all right? So that is that, y'all. That is a 7-point system. Yes, your process is your product, right? Like it really is. And a lot of the time when buyers, y'all, I'm a buyer of software, my friends are buyers of software, you guys are buyers of software, right? Like when you're spending a lot of money for your team on software, like a lot of the time I'll make decisions, as many buyers will, just based on the rep that had the best process, because products are so similar these days. Who wants the business? Who's going to make it look like they want to make something happen here? So that's the session for today, y'all. Great stuff. Again, this is like the first round of this. Hopefully this was valuable. Put in the chat, thumbs up if this was great. Thank you. Thanks, Andy. Great. 11. Cool. 1 out of 10.